Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Partnerships for Profit. I'm your host, Ana Del Rio, and this week we're joined by Mary B. Blackiston, paid ads conversion expert and direct response copywriter, helping service-based businesses get 5 times higher ROAS. Mary shares how she scaled from $23 an hour to $200 an hour, the ad mistakes killing your conversions, and how to turn freedom into profit without the burnout. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Mary. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Great. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. If you could do, me and the audience a favor and kind of introduce yourself, tell us, your background, where you're coming from, and all the fun stuff.
Yeah. So as I think you mentioned, I am a direct response copywriter and paid ads specialist. So I help high ticket service providers bring in more qualified leads and clients with research driven messaging and ad strategy. So yeah, that's kind of a summary of my background. I work with law firms, different professional service providers, coaches. Basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went from $23 an hour to $200 an hour. What was the mindset shift that made that leap possible?
Yeah, good question. So I mean, it wasn't that simple as just jumping from 23 an hour to 200 an hour. So I was making $23 an hour, and I started out before I was a freelancer and running my own business. I was working remotely for a digital marketing agency. I worked there for 4 years as a content marketing specialist. Mm-hmm. And, in that role, I was making $23 an hour. And I eventually, transitioned, and I decided I wanted to do my own thing. So I moved out and started my, moved out of that role and started my freelance copywriting business. Mm-hmm. Initially, when I was starting out, I charged I think $50 an hour. And then I also normally charge by the project, not by the hour. Mm-hmm. But I did start out charging, they say that you're supposed to charge double of what you make in a job. So I was charging $50 an hour. And then I just worked my way up as I got some, copywriting training and more marketing training under my belt. I felt more confident raising my prices. As for the mindset shift, it's really about, I want to make sure that my clients are getting ROI from the investment that they, whatever they spend on me, that they're going to make their money back and then some. So if I know, first of all, $200 an hour, I think like I said, I tend to charge more by the project than by the hour, but if the client is paying by the hour, I do want to make sure that they get their investment back. And I feel confident that happens. So that, and also just seeing other people in the industry, other marketers, copywriters who charge much more than me. So I feel like $200 an hour for the services I provide is a bargain. So
could you explain to us a little bit about what is copywriting?
Yeah. So copywriting is basically the act of, writing to sell something. So that's like a advertisement that you might see, could be a billboard, for example, or could be website. Like if you land on a website, maybe an e-commerce brand or really anything, any website that's trying to sell you something or to get you to take, action, maybe fill out the form if it's like a law firm or something like that. So the copy is that can be in the form of websites, emails, like landing page ads, basically anything that's going to get the prospect to try to take action. Whereas content is basically the goal is to educate the reader, not to get them to take action. So to educate and nurture, and copy is to get the person to take action. So
Okay. Oh, that distinction actually makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it can not, it's not like there's brand copywriting, which is not necessarily
Right.
like if you see like a Coca-Cola ad or something, like you're not necessarily going to go out and buy Coca-Cola based on the ad.
Right.
So that's a different kind of copy. But yeah, there is this distinct difference between content and copy.
Interesting. Okay. Well,
Mhm.
what's the biggest mistake service providers make when running paid ads, and how do you fix it fast?
Yeah, I see a lot of mistakes, I guess. One of the biggest ones is just generic copy that,
Mm,
like for example, ad copy that doesn't focus on the unique selling proposition of the brand or the company or law firm or whatever, doesn't filter out the wrong traffic, so that it gets
mm.
unqualified clicks. Um, yeah, so that's something that I see a lot, and just generic copy on the landing page that isn't conversion focused. Yeah, so those are a few of the big ones.
Okay. So could you give us an example of somebody that you've actually helped with, as far as the business is concerned, that story, that kind of, the one that you remember? Everybody seems to
Yeah.
have a story when they're like, they have their own business. They're like, oh, I will never forget that. And I will never forget that happened. Do you have one of those?
Yeah, so I've mentioned this one before just because it's the
Mhm.
one that stands out the most to me. So I was working like a few years ago now, and I'm actually still working with this client, but with a different firm that he's now at. But
Mhm.
when he initially hired me, he was, he was looking for someone to help him bring in more leads.
Mhm.
He told me that he'd spent $18,000 on a marketing agency that, generated one lead. And he had a
Mm.
little more
Wow.
success on his own, but not much. He was getting leads from Facebook ads, but when he tried to
Mhm.
call people back, they wouldn't pick up the phone. So
Mhm.
he hired me as a, fractional CMO
Mhm.
to help him, bring in more leads. So we decided to run Google ads because,
Mhm.
that people were searching for his service. He's a civil rights lawyer who helps
Mhm.
women who have been sexually harassed by their landlords.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's a very intense, yeah. But so people were searching for his service, and so we knew that we could target this audience on Google Ads, and also that they're
Mhm.
going to be more intent driven, which is the benefit of running Google Ads. And the results were, really incredible after setting up everything and did the messaging, the research, everything for the campaign. My client had initially said, like, if he were to get 3 to 4 signed cases per month, then that
Mhm.
would be considered, in his words, crazy, wild, wonderful success. And we were able to get him 15 signed cases in the first month
Wow.
at half of his allocated marketing budget. So,
Wow.
yeah, and those results continued over the course of the year. That was, yeah. So I was very, very happy with those results. That completely transformed his business and his firm. So he's been really great to work with. So yeah, it's been great on both sides, I think.
That's a very good story. That's a
Yeah.
very big success story. I love it.
Thank you.
Psychology of conversion. What
Mhm.
is that exactly?
Yeah. So when you're writing copy, and or, even designing a landing page, you want to think about like the person that you're targeting, what's going through their mind when they land on the page.
Mm.
So copywriting in itself is a lot of behavioral psychology. It's understanding the person, like again, like doing the voice of customer research, understanding your audience, and also using different like persuasion techniques
Mm.
in your copy. So yeah, so yeah, I can give some examples, but basically
Mhm.
it really comes down to the understanding your audience and doing the voice of customer research. Because once you do that, once you know who you're speaking to,
Mhm.
the copy is going to resonate, and yeah. So there's so many like marketing agencies that create these kind of useless avatars that is like Jane is a 42-year-old executive from New York, or this kind of thing. But instead you should
Mhm.
be focusing on the the psychographics, like going beyond basic demographic data and focusing on the person's attitudes and beliefs and values and the why behind, why they buy. Why do they buy? Or,
So psychology is very well engrossed in that whole process, like as a whole.
Definitely. I find that's what I love about marketing is it is so much psychology, and that's why I find it so fascinating. So just reading any psychology book can already like help you to improve your marketing. So
absolutely. So I'm very curious about this because this is a question that would help me personally as well, because as I mentioned to you, I consider myself a digital nomad. So as a part-time digital nomad, how do you balance freedom and high performance without burning out?
Yeah. So first of all, I rarely work more than 25 hours a week. Personally, I just don't think humans are meant to work 40 hours a week. So if of course there are times where I will work more and there's times where I work less, but on average, like I really don't work more than that. But I find like, first of all, when I travel, that, I like to slow travel. So I don't go to normally like hopping around country to country. That's not how I do things anymore. So it's really spending time, like at least 1 month in a place. And that allows me to get into a routine and be more productive. So I find that I'm normally most productive in the morning and early afternoon. And then once it's kind of like nighttime, I just kind of, my mind checks out. So I need to have my most productive hours in the morning and early afternoon. And sometimes I have client calls and things like that in the evening because I work with clients and, I'm sometimes in Europe, like right now, and then I work with clients on Eastern and Pacific time zone. But generally when I get, my work done is earlier in the day. So yeah.
Very cool. That makes a lot of sense because then this way you can enjoy where you are as well.
Exactly.
So I understand that concept. So someone listening wants to 5x their ROIs this year. Where should they start?
Yeah, I would say start with, your messaging. I might be biased, but it's really the most underrated component of most marketing campaigns. And it's one of the most important. So do the voice of customer research to really understand who you're targeting. And I can pretty much guarantee you that, that will allow you to craft, copy and messaging that's going to resonate much more and, get much better results from your campaign.
Excellent advice. So where can people find you to get your help?
Yeah. So my website is, I can, send you a link, but it's thrivedigitalmarketing.com. That's Thrive with a Y instead of an I. And also I'm on LinkedIn. So yeah.
Excellent. All right, guys. Well, if you enjoyed what you heard today and what you saw, please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. I hope that you enjoyed the content. Thank you, Mary, so much for being on the show with us. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.